All right, so Bible study again tonight, and we're talking about what does it mean to be a loving parent. Okay, Sarah put in the chat, love and support no matter what decisions you make. Come on, let's talk tonight. What does it mean to be a loving parent? Okay, as many people as would like to, please answer. You can unmute and you can answer, or you can put it in the chat. Okay, Ariana, what's up, Ariana? Ariana said, a parent that listens to their child. Okay, keep it coming. We rocking and rolling here. Anybody want to unmute and answer, or you can put it in the chat. What makes a loving parent?
Allowing failure.
Okay, allowing failure. Okay, so far we've got love and support no matter what decisions you make. A parent that listens to their child. Tracy put patience and understanding. Anybody else? You can answer even if you're not a parent. If you got a parent, you can answer, and that's all of us. Okay. What makes a loving parent? Let's talk tonight. My count, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So many people on here, I can't count. There's no, we're not going to shame you for your answer. Whatever answer you can come up with, we'll be glad to hear it. If you unmute, say it, or type it. Go ahead.
I'll say disciplining them.
Disciplining them. Okay. Bam. Mm-hmm. Disciplining makes you a loving parent. Anybody else? What makes you a loving parent tonight? Not tonight, but what makes a loving parent? I know you waiting on me. I'm waiting on you. I know you waiting on me to say something. I'm waiting on you to say something.
Can I say something, Pastor?
You don't even have to ask. Go right ahead.
I think being a loving parent is when you are able to show discipline, love, understanding, protection, guidance. Being a loving parent is just being there for your child or whatever kid is in your care, where you can guide them to do the right thing and go the right direction.
Excellent. Anybody else? iPad. I don't know who iPad is. Whoever iPad is, what does grace mean? What do you mean when you say grace? Number one. And who is iPad? Because I want to call you by your name if I can. iPad also put, not iPad, whoever is on that. Simone, there we go. Simone put not parenting through your wants, but through what God wants. Come on here. Come on. We getting into it tonight. Okay. We got a few more people. I'll give you the opportunity to answer if you want to answer. If you don't want to, that's okay. But I want to give you time to do so. What makes a loving parent? Let me start going over the list again. And then if you want to put it in the chat, or you can unmute like Raquel and Tasha and Sarah did. Sarah said love and support no matter what decisions you make. Ariana said a parent that listens to their child. Tracy said patience and understanding. What I need for that just hit me. Okay. Simone. Now I know that's by SWV. I know understanding is by, right? Sarah, am I right? Yes? Of course. There we go. Okay. Jesslyn said validating their thoughts and feelings and decisions. Okay. Simone said grace as I'm given, grace as God gives us grace, and not being harsh with your children. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. What makes a loving parent? I think I heard from a lot of moms here, which I'm appreciative, but I see some dads on here. So, I mean, I want to hear from moms too, because there's more moms on here, but I haven't heard any dads respond audibly or in the chat. So I'll pause again to give some people who may want to speak and not put it in the chat the opportunity to do so. The floor is yours. Oh, Sarah put parents having their own self-care. Miss Becky put in the chat unconditional love and listening. Oh, this is y'all's bringing it tonight. Come on. iPad, sorry, Simone put apologizing. Come on. Apologizing. Anybody else?
I got one.
Okay, break it down. What you got?
Well, Dad got one, so I'm going to speak for Dad.
Okay, speak for him this time. Go ahead.
So he said grace, but also what Dad used to do to us growing up, as well as his dad used to do to him. If we got disciplined, so if we got spanking, my dad would, after our spanking, he would talk to us and say why he disciplined us and explain that this is out of love, it's not out of anger, but you did wrong, and acknowledging that and hugging. And then with me and my older sister, which I hated it back then, but I understand it now. But like if me and my sister fought and we both got in trouble, my dad would make us hug until 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 dad got tired. And then we had to look at each other and say, I love you. And we either crying or just mad or just upset. And usually sometimes they would last probably about five, 5 minutes to an hour. Our dad would used to make us hug it out.
Wow.
So yeah, I would say definitely discipline, but disciplining out of love and showing that, hey, that I don't want to do this, but I'm doing it out of love. And this is what happened, X, Y, and Z, and explaining that, just not doing it out of anger and whooping a child, but spanking them and saying, okay, let's sit down, let's talk about this, and showing love after a discipline and not doing out of anger.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else? We got about another minute or two for what a loving parent does. Kevin Johnson says affirmation and identity, confidence and discipline, love and attention. All right, there we go. Okay, so Q got the dads rolling, and then Kevin chimed in. Any other dads or moms or folks on here who didn't comment would like to comment, or didn't speak who would like to speak? Got about 60 more seconds for this portion. The question on the floor, if you came in late and and missed it, is what makes a loving parent? What makes a loving parent? There we go. If I can get this rocking and rolling. Present. There we go. Okay. Anybody else? Uh-oh, we got something in the chat here. Okay. Foster said role modeling what I want them to grow into. Okay. Wonderful. Anybody else? Anybody else? I want to give you an opportunity to answer if you have a desire to answer. So there's many answers to this question, which we all know, right? There's many answers. And guess what? Some of the things we said, all of these things apply and more, right? We could go all night and hear about what a loving parent does, right? Because what a loving parent will do for their child is almost endless, right? They'll sacrifice money, they'll sacrifice time, they'll sacrifice sleep, all of these things. And tonight I want to talk a little bit about different levels, not different levels, but there's something in this book that I'm going to read from because I want you to have some context for the content here. And it is identified as a pyramid. And this pyramid, which I'm going to show you real quick here, if I had enough time, I would have made a diagram, but I do not. So I'll just read it for you. It's a pyramid that has 5 levels. The lowest level being the largest and the highest being the smallest. The first level is basic needs, right? This is what is needed in order for a child to thrive, essentially. Okay, this gives children's foundation of for their lives. and for a thriving relationship, not only with their parent or with others. So the first one is basic needs, right? It's difficult to get to this other stuff if home and shelter and housing and food isn't taken care of. I'm going to turn that off because it's too loud for me. Basic needs. The second one is relationship. And we're going to come back to relationship tonight because that's where we're really going to sit. Those two build upon trust. Okay, those two are really about trust. If you don't have those two, it's difficult to go any higher up the pyramid. The next is boundaries and direction. Some people might call that discipline or visioneering, and that has to do with leading the way. And then the last one is identity. Again, basic needs. Second, relationship. Third, boundaries. Fourth, direction. And 5, identity. And identity really talks about understanding. Okay? What we're going to spend most of our time today talking about is relationships. Okay? And I want to read this to you because we're going to talk about secure attachments. So some therapists, let me get their name right. Judy Cassidy, Jason Jones, and Philip Shaver came up with this research-based approach called Contributions of Attachment Theory and Research. Contribution of Attachment Theory and Research. Okay, this is something they came out with in around 2013. And it says this: as parents and children interact, they form connections to each other that other mental health professionals have described as attachments. Researchers have identified 4 different areas of attachment. And we're going to go over that in a second. These different styles of attachment are characterized by the amount of emotional, trusting connectedness between two people. And now we're going to go into what these 4 look like. Okay. So they're on your screen right now. Okay. So you can screenshot them or make a mental note of them. But before we talk about that, I've got some scriptures that I want you to jot down. Okay. Matter of fact, I'm going to give 3. Somebody get these so we can read these before we go into the attachments here. Matter of fact, let me go back to this so you're not distracted. Proverbs chapter number 1, verses 8 and 9. Again, Proverbs chapter number 1, verses number 8 and 9. Okay. So I need somebody to grab that one for me. Proverbs chapter number 1, verses 8 and 9. The next one is Lamentations. I don't know if we've been here before in Bible study. Lamentations chapter 3, verse 22 and 23. Lamentations chapter 3, verses 22 and 23. And then Philippians chapter 4, verses number 6 and 7. Again, I'll go through them because I need 3 different people to read these. Philippians chapter number 4, verses 6 and 7. We've already, I took a lot of my time at the beginning because I wanted to hear. So let's grab the scriptures as quickly as possible so there's not a long lag. Philippians chapter number 4, verses number 6 and 7. Then the next one we got is Lamentations chapter number 3, verses number 22 and 23. And then the first one I believe I said was Proverbs chapter 1, verses 8 and 9. So who's got the first one for us? Proverbs chapter number 1, verses 8 and 9. You can unmute and read those verses for us tonight.
I can read Proverbs 1, 8 and 9.
Thank you.
And it says, my son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother, for they shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head, and chains about thy neck. And that was coming from the King James Version.
Thank you so much. So somebody else get Lamentations 3 and 22 and 23. But before you read that, let me say this based on the scripture Tasha just read. So one of the things this is telling us is this. A responsibility of a parent is to instruct. Instruction has to do with information and correction. So when we see our kids going the wrong way, of course, we allow some deviation because they have to learn natural consequences. But in addition to that, we also have to share with them why this is the right thing to do and why we're doing certain things that we're doing. Okay. Who's got Lamentations chapter number 3, verses 22 and 23? Go ahead and read that for us tonight.
Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness.
Thank you. So one of the things, many things this verse is telling us, but one of the fundamental things that we're looking for here is that parenting is about the journey. In other words, it's about consistency. The word we're seeing there in the Bible is faithfulness. Okay? Continuing in the same direct obedience is this, continuing in the same direction for a long period of time. And parenting is that. You want to hear one of the biggest lies we tell as parents? It's just us. Ain't no children on here. It's just us. We might as well be honest. You want to know one of the biggest lies parents say? And you probably said it today. I'm not going to say it again. That's one of the biggest lies parents. I'm not going to say it again. You lie. You are. 1/3 of parenting is repeating yourself. 1/3 of parenting is saying the same thing over and over again. Okay. And why is that? Why do parents repeat themselves? Why do you have to repeat yourself? Why do we go over multiple verses over and over again? Why do we always go to the Bible? Why do we preach something on Sunday and then teach it on Tuesday and then do a Bible reading plan for the rest of the week on it? Why is repetition important? Somebody help me out in the chat. Why is repetition important? Why is repetition valuable, right? When you lie to your kids saying, I ain't going to tell you again, you lied, you a lie, right? What do they say? Cap? That means you lying if you didn't know. That's how the young people say you lying. So if your son or daughter say, man, you capping, they not saying you talking about somebody, they saying you lying. Okay, just so you know. All right, that's free. Just putting you up on game there. All right. One of the reasons why we repeat ourselves is because teaching happens through repetition. Lessons are learned through repetition, okay? Last but not least, somebody just put it in the chat. There we go. Yep, repetition provides an opportunity for reformation. That's a very fancy way of saying it. Indeed. Kevin's way of saying it is better than mine. Repetition is a way of reformation, for sure. Okay, last but not least, Philippians chapter number 4, verses 6 and 7. Who's got that for us tonight? And we'll read it for us. Philippians 4, verses 6 and 7. Then we'll go to our next slide.
I can do that one.
Thank you.
Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God.
There we go. Bada bing, bada boom. All right. So we're going to move on to these 4 types of attachments. And this initially is about parent-child relationship, but what we're going to learn about tonight is that it transcends that. I need 4 volunteers to read. I need somebody to read the secure attachment, insecure attachment, avoidant attachment, and disorganized attachment. Okay, who's going to read? It's all on the screen, just in case you didn't know. Who's going to read the first one, which is secure attachment for us tonight?
I'll read it. I trust you. I know that you care about me. I recognize that people are imperfect in their love, but I know you're doing the best you can with what you know and have. If you leave, I will be okay. I can still love even when you're having issues. I understand that you might be able to love me or you might not, but I will be okay.
Thank you. Thank you for reading that. So here's what we understand. These are different types of attachment, and this first one here is the highest form. Okay, it's the highest form of the 4 attachments, and researchers say it's the safest. Now, initially, we're talking about our relationships that our kids have to us and that we have to our kids, right? Because there has to be attachment on both ends, right? And this is known as the secure attachment. We'll talk about that more shortly. Next, who's going to read insecure attachment for us tonight? I messed up on my alignment of these. I see
I'll
that.
read it.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if you always love me. I need to cling to you because I might lose you. I can't be alone because it means I'm not loved. Don't leave. I think it says don't leave me. I'm
Wait a
worried.
second. Don't be calling out my misspelling like that.
Oh, I didn't know you wrote this. I'm sorry.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Go ahead.
Oh, don't leave me. I'm worried if I mess up or disappoint people, they won't love me. If you leave me, I will not be okay. Please don't leave. If you stay, I'll be okay.
All right. Thank you. So we can see that this is a little bit imbalanced, a little bit more imbalanced, right? The secure is pretty balanced, and the insecure is, I would go so far to say, overly dependent. That's what I would classify this as. Overly dependent. Again, we're not only talking about our kids' attachment to us, we're talking about our attachment to our children or children. Okay? Thank you for that, Shantae. Avoidant attachment. Who's going to read that for us? Avoidant attachment. One more after this.
I can read it.
Thank you.
I don't always need you, but you may be useful to me sometimes. You might hurt me, so stay away unless I need you. I can do things on my own. I can't remember anything painful in my past and can't be hurt by others. If you leave me, I will be fine because I don't really need anyone to survive.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sarah. Last but not least, Gina, can you send Ivory down with my backpack? Because my computer is dying here. Please. Who's going to read the last one for us? Disorganized attachment. And then I want to hear from you all. What's coming up when you're hearing these? Is this new information? Is this something you knew? Are you seeing yourself in this? Are you seeing your kids in this? Let's talk a little bit about that after somebody reads this last one. Last but not least, disorganized attachment.
I can read it.
Thank you.
You hurt me, but I still want to be with you sometimes. Go away, but don't go away. I want to be with you, but I'm scared of you and I can't trust you. I'm confused. I want to be with you and I don't know why, because you're not safe and you hurt me. I hate you and I love you.
All right, thank you for that, Tasha. Okay, anybody? What's coming up for people? What do you see yourself in this? Do you see maybe your attachment to your parent? Do you see something with your kid? Thank you so much, my love. Anybody? What's coming up? Some of y'all are like, man, I didn't know this was gonna be a therapy session tonight. It's not a therapy session because I'd have to charge you, but it is designed. It is designed to have us examine ourselves, right? Let me help you before anybody shares. You can't be a better parent until you evaluate what kind of parent you are right now. You can't improve in an area that you're not evaluating, right? And attachment has to do with both ways. I have to cling on to you and you have to cling on to me. Some people, I'm not even going to say that. I'm going to let somebody else chime in and say what's coming up for them right now, what they think of. T kicked us off. She said psych class, okay? She like, I'm in psychology class again, okay? Except this time we're looking with a spiritual lens through the Bible. Anybody else? What's coming up for you right now? Did you know this? Did you not know this? Go ahead.
I was only familiar with two of them out of the four, but I can't help but think about, since I don't have kids, I can't help but think of it just from a child perspective, me as the child. And also just because I have a lot of family things going on and a lot of mother-daughter healing happening. Well, I want a lot of healing to happen, but I can't help but think about, just how it relates to relationships too.
Right.
How it spreads over into other areas when, so I can't help but see how the attachment styles of parenting children then bleeds is the only word I can think of, but then into the other areas of your life.
Wonderful.
As you grow up.
Yeah, and you know what? That's getting right at it. That's getting right at the purpose of this. Some of it. Thank you for bringing that. Anybody else want to add anything? Sheena put the book is great if you want to read it and learn more. Anybody else got any other comments they want to put in the chat or say? I know y'all like, yeah, I was expecting something a little different tonight. But here's one of the purposes of this. To Sarah's point, if we don't understand the kind of attachments we've had to our parents, whether it was secure, insecure, avoidant, or disorganized, we could be continuing that same attachment with God, right? Some of us, whether you're on the call or whether you're watching this on live or whatever, you have a love-hate relationship with God. When God does what you want him to do, you love him. Or you're ready to worship. You throwing extra money in the offering basket. Okay, you helping everybody you can. But when God does something you disagree with or you don't understand, you question if he's real. You question if he's on your side. You question if he's been there all along, right? And that probably goes back to some stuff with your mom or with your dad, or maybe feelings that you felt before, right? Some of us, we are overtly independent, and that is a good quality. But in God's kingdom, God says, I don't want you to focus on being independent. I want you to focus on being interdependent, right? Because independence says, all I need is me, myself, and I. That's all I got in the end, right? That's what that says. But interdependence says, I need love and I need to love others. I need correction and I need to be corrected by others. I need to laugh with others and I need to make others laugh. Watch me. I need to pray for others and I need others to pray for me. I need to care about others and I need others to care about me, right? We have to examine, how am I relating to God? When God tells me no and I wanted yes, do I forget the history of blessings that he's poured out to me? Come on, right? When I see somebody else get what I wanted, am I being triggered based on what my mother or my father gave me? Right? We have to understand that not only does God function in certain ways, but there are certain things that totally encapsulate not only how God works, but who God is and who he created us to be. In First John chapter number 4, verse number 7, write it down or make a note of it, is this. The Bible says, beloved, let us love one another, for God is love. Whoever loves has been born of God and knows God. Anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love. And watch me, he goes on to show us that love is always demonstrated. So if you're a side dude today, you might as well just block them right now. If you're a side chick today, that's not love, because love has to be demonstrated. There ain't no such thing as a relationship that's on the down low when it's love, because love has to be seen and identified. Let me go back to the Bible so you can see this. We're in First John chapter number 4. In this, the love of God was made manifest among us, seen among us, that God sent his only son into the world so that we might live through him. In this is love, that we have loved God not only, but that he has loved us.
I have something to say before you
Go
go
ahead,
into
say
what
something. Go ahead, say something.
just looking at the four attachment styles, I was going to say that I feel like our goal as children of God and parents is to have secure attachment. That's the goal. Because I could see myself in different phases and places in my life where I had insecure, where I had avoidance, where I had disorganized, right? So when I look at the words in secure attachment, it says, I trust you. I know that you care about me. in this part right here. I recognize that people are imperfect in their love. That part is very difficult at times when you are feeling unloved. Then it says, but I know you're doing the best you can with what you know and have. And I feel like, sometimes we don't, when we're functioning out of an insecure place, you don't see it that way.
Mm-hmm.
You see it as when a person cannot be there, that I'm losing them. You know what I'm saying? Or I lost them.
Yeah.
And that's not the case, right? 100%. And so, I think that, well, I'll just speak for me. For me, getting to that secure place in relationship with God, our Father, us as parents, and then when we are in situations with our children, and it's not easy. It is not easy to practice loving them through their imperfections, loving them when they mess up, loving them when they misunderstand, loving them when they're disrespectful to you. But knowing that if we stand strong through it all, not saying we're allowing our kids to run over us, because we do have to correct them, but just making sure that my wounds don't bleed out on my kids, and that I start to raise them in a way that puts them in the insecure, avoidant, and disorganized styles.
And let me say this for anybody who is feeling something in this moment and you're like, I ain't never thought about this, or maybe it's painful to even explore, right? We're exploring this on a Bible level, and one, right? There's a mental health aspect. If this is really hitting you in a certain way, therapy may be a very good option for you. We believe in the power of God. I love the Lord with all my heart. He is omnipotent. He has all power. In addition to God's power, he created these mechanisms that are available to us to utilize, and therapy can be one of them. So if it's a desire of yours to get to the root of it and to be improved on this way, yeah, keep coming to church, keep Bible study, all that jazz. But also consider getting a therapist, right? Because this is something that they can help you to work through, and you find out the root of it. And once you find the root, you can disrupt it or pull it out. I could talk about that for a long time, but I'm not going to. But if you think that therapy is a viable option, it surely is. And iPad's in the comments saying that therapy has been helpful. So I can attest to that too, and other people can attest to that as well. So check it out. Here's what we're going to talk about in OT, okay? For those that stick around. Not now, but later. Would you rather be loved or trusted? Okay, we'll talk about that in OT, because this is a whole little thing here, and we'll go around for that, okay? For all those who are willing to do that. So, but here's the most important thing in the secure attachment, because PG is right. This is how we want to function in our relationship with God and others. And let me help you. When you don't function in a secure attachment with God, it's difficult to have a secure attachment with anybody else. Because you think that if God isn't for you, you think the enemy is in control and he's sending people and he's manipulating all this jazz. You see everything as the devil. But when you trust God, you say, even when the devil's working, I know God's going to find some way to turn this around. Right? The most important words in all of these, especially number one, is I trust you. Because if I don't trust you, I'm insecure. If I don't trust you, I avoid. If I don't trust you, I don't have any confidence in myself. If I don't trust you, I can't project what I feel. I'm sorry, I can't internalize it's difficult for me to internalize what I don't believe about somebody else. It's very difficult to do that. So we have to be intentional about that. Okay, right. We be praising the devil too much. So T and Foster will come back to that homework. Let me help you. Please come back after the group discussions, because I have a homework assignment that's only going to take us 3 minutes to talk about. And I don't want you to miss it. It's going to be life-changing. I'm telling you. These are our questions for tonight. So T's going to be in one group, and I type these really fast. Okay, so if they don't make sense, answer them to the best of your ability based on what you understand them to mean. Okay, so these are our questions for tonight. answer them in your groups, and then we'll come back together and go from there. Hold on one second. How do I stop doing that? Bam. Okay.